constantly of the board 7 has the right to remove the board member or member of the public from a meeting for engaging in inappropriate conduct, including but not limited to obscene, threatening, or harassing language, slander, threats of violence, personal attacks of any kind, or offensive, inflammatory comments on the basis of ethnicity, race, age, religion, gender, sexual orientation, and or disability. Members of the public who engage in any other behavior that reasonably impedes the orderly administration of the meeting while at a board meeting shall be removed from the board meeting at the discretion of the chair or the chair designee. Okay? Right, we'll move on with attendance. Very good. Oh, I just present. Strong present. Karen Brady. Oh, present. Thank you very much. Being part of the council present. Dave Austin. Michelle Villa. Present. We have four. Yes, good. All right, we'll take a look at the previous month's minutes in your packet. And let me know if there should be some changes or adjustments. That's for me, for public safety and quality of life. It's after 40. When you still on page 6. Yeah, it's about 340. 80 only on black. Oh, okay. And you are one. So that all right, any other comments about this month's minutes? Everyone's really happy and all right, second. All right, all in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Follow up from the previous meeting, well, that's going to be, I'm sure, down on the new business in that city of yes, we'll hear about, discussing this for a while. District managers update, will be coming in. Oh, good, Steve.
Okay. Hi everyone. I'm covering for Carla today, so I just have to give a few updates. So in regards to the participatory budgeting event that we did, we were able to collect over 400 votes from the community. That's good. And then, you know, starting tomorrow, our office is open 5 days a week in person from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And then the annual resource fair is next week, June 29th, from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. at Post Park. And so if you guys would like to volunteer, then, you know, you come and speak to Carl about that. And then if you have any more quality of life issues, call 301 and submit it to us, then we will follow up. And then finally, the mayor has assigned a neighborhood support team to work with Community Board 7 on the following quality of life issues of public drug use, graffiti, illegal dumping, etc. And so the district manager, she will send an email to community stakeholders to ask for locations where the issues are most prevalent. And that's it.
Can you just repeat the hours that the office will be open?
Yeah, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m.
And what is the best number to give to the public? The old number that was at 933, or what's the best number to give out to the public if they want to get in touch?
Oh, you can give them my number. It's 929 496 7687.
687, is there a general number for the office or?
Like those, like usually, all calls go to my phone.
All right, so they should call you directly, then this is your cell number.
Like the work stuff.
This is your work, okay, 929-496-7687.
Mhm.
For senior center. Thank you. Any questions for Steve? Thank you.
Uh, 12 p.m. to 3 p.m.
Where is it in for parking? Parking. Anything else before we move on? All right, chairperson's update.
Okay, there's not much to report as per what Carla's first word. The only thing, we're gonna look into possibly doing a potluck. With all the new members, sometime in the summer, we're gonna work out those details. Because we're gonna have new members coming in, so we kind of brainstorm the idea of a potluck. So that might be something in the works.
I really don't know the problem, who most of the members are, other than to look at the name. You know, we come to a general meeting and we don't know if they're part of the public or they're actually members or whatever, so that would be very.
We're gonna look into, if we get to know who the new members are before the time, we'll see what we can do to do potluck.
Good, okay,
We'll get together.
We're here.
Yep,
So
everybody will get an email. We'll try to coordinate a few days just in case. So that we can figure it out. But it just,
sounds good. And next Tuesday, where are we going? Where are we going to be? You have a meeting? Anybody know what building? Say that again.
Same, I
And
believe it's the same.
next Tuesday, or I don't know, asking
I
where.
thought it was next Wednesday, it's the next, Tuesday, primary election.
It's election day.
We just changed.
I thought it was the next day,
When 25th.
No, the 25th, the general board meeting.
That's one.
Wednesday?
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
I only have it, the primary election. But somehow, no, because it came up, somebody asked me about it earlier today, and I said, I'm sure that I saw that it said, Wednesday, which I think is the 26th. So we don't have board meetings on that day of primary election. We don't do that.
I can follow up with Carla. I'll follow up with Carla about that.
Yeah, because I saw some place that it's supposed to be
No,
26, but we don't do.
we have it on the general for the 25th at the Botanical Gardens in the Rose Hall like we normally do. And then budget and personnel is scheduled for the 26th, the next day.
Oh,
Okay, so we're keeping it on the primary.
so we're still gonna have one primary.
But I'm gonna check with Carla, I'll speak to Carla tonight.
Because we don't usually do that.
Yeah, we don't do it on the.
No, but if you switch it, then you can have to find. Where. With the garden and do. Okay, we have anything on.
So does it unpack the fact that we don't have any candidates in that primary?
Well, it depends on whether or not people are more are working post, that is always a problem.
That's right, we
That's
have-
the reason, yeah, homework, I don't know how many now or what, but that's why we never had it on.
On a voting night. I'll speak to Carla tonight.
All right, you will get back to us, follow us, send an email, or Steve, somebody. Because you want to come on, I think it's on Tuesday. Rose Hall.
Yeah, Rose Hall.
All right, that's the only.
That's the auditorium where we always have.
Well, they will know. Yeah, that's- okay, sure. Thank you. Right. We'll move on. Do we have any motions tonight other than the one, well, the two was the, continuing with the public conduct. All right, we'll start with the, motion, the New York City Department of Planning regarding the city of Yes. How, do we have to do this? Do we have to do it as one motion, or if we want to make changes in certain sections, or?
Yeah, well, we provided the tool to provide comments specifically for each section if you all want. So, I'm so sorry, Cesar. I'm from the Department of City Planning. Yeah, I'm the liaison for the Department of City Planning for this community board. And I attend usually to the land use, housing and economic development committee, yeah. So Delgado, Cesar Delgado. I did a couple of presentations on the amendment that includes the initiatives that are listed in this tool that we also provided to receive input. So you can actually support per initiative or not support and provide like the reason, let's say, or a suggestion. But yeah, it would also be voted in the general on Tuesday, the 25th, the board.
Does that count as our vote? I thought that was our tool to vote.
Yep.
Assuming it was, what came out online, or we have to vote again tonight, or? So you just, you took them up the survey that was sent out.
Yeah, and it was like 11 of us that we did.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
So does that count as our vote, like you're saying, or no? That's our vote.
No, the vote
Collectively.
is collective, yeah. And this one is also per board, it's not per person. Yeah.
Well, it's not, we ever go to the board.
Yeah.
Have to vote as a board.
Yeah, as a board, you need to provide the comments. You don't have to, this is just optional. This is optional. This is not necessary to do the vote. And this can come up after. Like Carla can collect the comments and she can submit this when she submits the vote.
But you need an actual collective vote from the executive body.
Yeah.
From this executive and then at the general.
What do we say? For the city of Yes, with the following
Conditions.
recommendations or conditions, as opposed to just getting an all out.
Definitely.
yes vote or no vote.
Definitely. For the past two amendments, like City of Yes is 3 amendments, right? Like the one that we did for carbon neutrality, then we did economic development. And for both of them, the board did a yes with conditions motion. And the conditions were guided by this, a similar tool. The conditions were listed in each specific
So
area.
now with the house, we can do the same.
Yes.
Like you vote no, we can take that. So it'll be. Okay, so yes, no, no, whatever we say. And then whatever it is.
Whatever it is, collective. Yeah. If we say yes, is with what condition? You decide to vote yes, you can vote yes on its own, or yes with the conditions that are already listed.
So, I filled out, I think online. And then Carla shared the two rights.
Yeah.
Online here.
Mm.
I forgot that.
Did they remember every meeting?
I'm sorry, this is.
You were at the last.
I was at the last thing. So I.
They gave it the town hall, so it was big enough.
No, at the time, this is
Yeah.
what I have is. Have this, but that's not included.
They were also in the last meeting on the table. And you were there in the last meeting of the land use committee. She was there at the land use committee.
I didn't go. But I said that. I didn't see it.
Carla also sent the link via email. So it's in your email.
No, I was looking at it today, I still didn't see that, and I'm curious, so maybe somehow like this. I did not see that. No, there were about 4 different things, and I was going through the links, and maybe I missed one of the links, because I did go through the links. And first, I put one
We handed it to the manager, so they decide who to approach and receive this. I don't know. Because they are.
Right now, I'm looking again. So if I fill it out, I say I like 3 items. That goes to be sent for informational purposes, or is that going to get counted as a yes, voting alone? I want to understand what the feedback is.
Okay,
You don't want-
for example, for the economic development one, I just learned that one of the initiatives is gonna be excluded from the proposal because of the quantities of not support to the specific part of it. If you just vote no for everything, I mean, well, it's obviously the entire thing is not gonna move forward if the majority of the boards say no to everything. But if you say yes with conditions, for example, you don't like the parking portion, which is very common. You say no, and it's likely that if everyone says no to the parking portion, it will be excluded. It's an example. So yes,
Is it just feedback when you fill out?
no, I'm telling you that it's kind of, it's a vote that if it's counted as a majority that says no to this one in particular, to a particular initiative, it will be removed. So it's not just feedback. It will definitely impact if exactly, or even if the initiative gets even modified or removed, it can be either removed or it can be changed.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, go
So
ahead.
I have 2 things and 2 points of clarification. So you're asking for a vote from the full board, right? And that's what we're here to do today as an executive committee, and then the full board vote, and that would be our recommendation on the city of Yes.
Well, yes, the vote was requested to the Land Use, Housing and Economic Development Committee, not the executive, right? But then it was deferred because there was no quorum.
That's why we're here. No quorum, so therefore it comes to the exec.
Got it.
And just to give a little bit more feedback, I invited the Land Use Committee a few times for the info sessions, and I gave 2 presentations. We did a public hearing. And yeah, after this, it goes to the general board on Tuesday.
For a full, and that's our statement as PC7,
Yes,
right?
yes.
I think what I'm trying to clarify, so we did get this online and we're able to submit that. We can also submit that as individual citizens.
That's a good question.
I think that's
we-
what we're asking. Is the feedback? because
I'm
that-
pretty sure, sorry, I'm pretty sure you can do that. But the tool was designed to be received per community board. Yeah. Yeah.
So Carla's gonna get that, and then she's gonna aggregate it for the board. So thank you for clarifying that. That's what I wanted for everyone to be on the same page about. So for us, does it make sense to go by proposal by proposal and we vote those pieces? That way we can have a consensus, and if we say no, it's the majority of votes that say no. And if we say yes, it's the majority of votes that say yes. And any notes or concerns, we should note them so that we can pass them on to Carla and pass them on to the general board meeting. That's what I propose.
Okay, thank you.
That was part of my thing, because like I said, over these last couple of months, we've had suggestions and we've had things brought up by both the community and by community board members, where there's like, okay, yeah, we can do that, but this should be different, or this should be different. Because I know when I filled out the form, that's what I did. I put down the certain things that, you know, we say yes to the proposal with these conditions. And I wanted to make sure that I clarified that those comments that we made there are going to be part of an aggregate consensus or document that gets forwarded to the people. It's important, like I said, over the past year or so, there's been a lot of valid points, valid ideas, valid thoughts especially you know, like some things like 204 Street, where they're replacing, where they say, well, you can have up to 4 stories if you have, a street level commercial, where, you know, there's some places you want to make sure you're not gonna get a 20-story building on 204 Street. So the idea is with, like I said, there's a lot of different caveats that are presented that I think should, I want to make sure it gets carried on with our vote so that document that, gets.
So we're gonna do it on technical question. How many of us actually filled out that form online? Last I heard there were 11. How many of us filled it out? So I guess the reason why I'm asking is because that data's there for you. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, I feel like I guess it's because most of us kind of filled it out where it's just like, right, it's like, how come we don't have that data so we can extrapolate from it? Do you understand what I'm saying? It'll be faster, that's all. But still, it's all broke it down online. It was
I imagine it's this one.
It was that one, and that's what we did it on, yeah.
Okay, but I don't have that in digital. It's a tool that Carla developed to manage. Yeah.
We still have to vote.
Yeah.
So,
I definitely, I'm just saying it's, you know, it's there. Okay, so at this point, anyone have, any questions? Regarding the content of
I just think we should go section each section individually.
And so whatever.
Yeah, and that has to do with the meeting in general. I mean, this is, if I understand, this is, the board and voting on this. There's no,
So what happened was they presented again in housing. We were supposed to vote, the housing committee was supposed to vote on it because there was no quorum. It's being brought to the exam. So that's why we're all a little confused because it was supposed to be originally done at housing in order to move on to the next step. But because there was no quorum, we have to figure it out.
so will that mean that then the full board has to?
Yes.
Yeah.
On Tuesday, the full board has to.
And my question goes to, aside from the board members voting, the voice of the people, are not people will be able to speak to that, community members, people in the community, not one of the community.
Yes, there will be a public hearing. As similar to what it was with carbon neutrality and economic development, there was a long public hearing with the city planning.
Had the opportunity of having
Yeah.
Before the housing meeting, that's number one. And then the Bronx Borough president held one, our meeting was Thursday, right?
Yeah,
Thursday, right?
Yeah.
Tuesday.
was this Tuesday?
Tuesday, yeah, I wish she had in the channel, so there've been several public hearings for the public, it's clear.
people don't feel that they haven't been. Yes.
So that's one of the questions that I have had, right? Because like I said, we've had a few sessions of this, right? I think for what, 2-3 months, we had it at the housing committee, and we had some community members at those meetings with valid points. And there was some of that stuff that we agreed on, right? And we agreed about some of the changes, right? And like I said, I remember 204 being one of the issues that was brought up. And there was another one, but not everything directly related to our community, right?
Parking.
But I know there's things that we have comments on, you know, like putting businesses in their buildings and stuff like that. And there were, like I said, there have been valid points brought by the community. We agreed with that. We co-signed on what they were saying. I want to make sure that data and that information is going to be part of this, what's being presented to us. So a lot of them will get good valid points. I want to make sure they don't get lost in the shuffle. First of all, because they're good ideas, and second, is the community doesn't feel like we're not listening, because that's our job as community
and those need to reside in the format that Carla is gonna submit to this format. Like the comments that, not only the comments from the board, but also from the community on this one. Yeah, okay. I don't have many, but I have.
So. Whatever it's, I think whatever it's saying is, if since those members or whoever was at those meetings said something, then it was really up to the housing committee to kind of gather that information.
Order, I think that.
So that, that
Okay.
Right, 'cause like the
I think
information
we have a copy of this.
before the housing was just like more information.
Section.
Clarification,
Clarification.
but
Everybody have one? of
based
those?
on the,
No, I.
but based on the meetings, you
You
can.
Recap for Carla, since she's joined us now, just so we're all on the same page.
All right, we're discussing the city agenda this morning. We have not made a decision on-
Can you also pass this to her? I don't have many, but I have.
Yes, I mean, if you give me 5 minutes, I can run to the office.
I know you made this easy. You made this easy to get that complete.
All right.
No, it's much more complex, but this is the easiest way of doing it.
Not that they submitted is going to be collected and used to fill in the comments.
So basically, the Department of City Planning gave us the option to select one of these agents. So depending on how your motion looks tonight, you could do the similar things you did for City of Yes for Economic Opportunity. So let's say we're voting no, and then we have the following comments, so you can go by each section and add the comment there. Or we're voting yes with the modifications that are, for this, let's say, low density, we have the following comments for town center zoning, and then you add those comments there. So the little form that I sent is going to inform whether you vote support or not support. And then it will be the motion that you put together, and it will be submitted as a packet.
We still have to vote as a committee tonight.
Yes.
And next week we'll vote
Yes.
as a board.
Right.
So if we need something that. Not necessarily.
No, not necessarily. So that time, fill this out. I can open the Google form again if someone has to vote. Because we only
She
have
has
11 responses. So if someone would like to, fill out the vote,
I think it is, but I did it with this, and I did it with one line earlier, and I read through it, which is basically back this. But I didn't see this particular number. They told me. She just said this. She said it. Okay. Then it just.
I know, we separate left emails, maybe we'll break it down next time and send the link by itself.
Yeah, because it was like the lower five and everything.
Yes. You know, I highlighted it.
So, Carla, sorry, I have another question. So we are putting up together everyone's comments that are going through the Google form, so great. And then we're gonna take a vote by section, right? What happens if there's a conflict between what people already voted and what we end up voting today? That gets disregarded, right? Because what we're voting on is.
There's a motion, yes. So
Okay.
whatever the motion gets created.
Okay,
It will just be, for a document that gets submitted.
okay.
But the motion itself is the one that has all the weight and the modification itself. And you choose also not to submit this feedback. That's one of the options. The other option is you as an individual person, not as a board member, not as a city Senate representative, you can also submit your own feedback and email it to Wisdom. That's on the back. But the motion will go from city Senate.
The motion is going to cover all parts of this.
Yes.
It's not gonna be a vote for each section.
No, it will be accepting it or whatever. And then you will have the notification.
So similar, and thankfully Eric is here. So similar to the way that they provide the economic development where it was, we're saying yes to this, but we have the following modifications to it and feedback. That feedback is also the feedback that the board of president's office is going to look at and the city council.
Yeah, thank you. Anyone have any concerns they want to discuss about the housing part of it? I had concerns about the accessory dwelling units. We have more than a few older private homes in the area, and from what I read of this, they could convert different areas of that home for living quarters for additional people. And my concern is we've had problems in the past with an overload of too many people living in the basement apartment or whatever. And I think even in the Bronx, we're not going to get too much in the way of city checking out these things. And I'm here to survive. And when you're all going to stop any place, I think it's something wrong with it. They've done so many people in the basement. I'm not. There's one house that's like each other and even saw. And they were the basement, it was a fire. Yes. Yeah. And that's when the DOD discovered that it was like illegal. They closed it down and they want buildings in certain areas that may be great, but you gotta think about where these buildings are and how old they are, and how the building doesn't live with like he rents. And enforcement, the thing to say how they're gonna regulate that. Well, and forgetting the steps on the other, but the idea is, I think it's transit. One that says basically, like, that you can build New York box or building, and the question is within a half a mile. To me, that's the way to be going to take a look. That would be really, the impact is very much on the credit.
But the transit has to do with the parking requirement, not with additional height. No. Right.
See, my argument, I have a concern.
So with the transit.
No, she's right. We are proposing to allow 3 to 5 story buildings as long as they are near transit and that the sites are over 5,000 square feet. And also that they have to be on the short end of the block or facing a wide street, which is 75 feet. And yeah, maximum 5 stores. Half a mile of the transit.
That's my feel. The potential of upzoning more buildings, which can really change the whole character of the neighborhood.
Well, it's still consider a low density development up to 5 stories. And they won't allow beyond that.
My concern was, when you're talking about them doing these build-outs, right? So now, where are they building the house? Because now you have a specific amount of space. So you're telling them that they can add something additional on to what they already have. Like if I have a small house in between 2 buildings, as I do in this area. So you're saying that in my backyard, I can add a whole other dwelling back there? And
You can make a profit out of it.
So I put Bob back there in the backyard, but now you're making it even congested in the area. And it just seems like you're overcrowding everything. And I understand that people need to have additional housing and you don't want such tall buildings. So when you say you can build up to 3 to 5 stories, like I was using Bainbridge as an example, or Bainbridge really had a problem. And I think over there, I don't think they went above 3 stories on that side. So you're saying the store was, I'll say the meat market. So above the meat market, you can now put in this passage a 4-story building. And that will level out with the rest of the neighborhood. Okay, and it'll go back as far as it can, and put X amount of apartments, have a commercial structure on the bottom of it.
But it can't be a high rise, right? Yeah.
It can be what?
Cannot be a high rise.
No, it cannot be a high rise. No. It's the addition of maximum 4 stories above the commercial.
That's even on the corner lot?
Even what?
But you said where there is a corner, there's a corner.
We're talking about 2 different things now. Transit development or the town hall, right? Town center, sorry. That's 2 different things.
No, that's the problem is you have a mix in this neighborhood, right? So right where 204 is, right there's the next block up is 205, which is the last stop on the beach. Right, you have express buses, it's a transit hub, right? It's center. So does that mean that now that corner of Bainbridge to 204, which is what I mentioned earlier, right? That's the corner that the community has questions, has having competition because they don't want a 20-story building or a 15-story building there because it's a corner lot, and
Okay,
they
listen.
had a big fire, so that will
For-
be wiped out. So there's gonna be something coming there.
Yeah, I mean, okay, there is 2 things here. The proposal of the town center and the transit would allow for buildings up to 5 stories, right? Like either if it's in the transit oriented, it needs to comply with the rules that I talked about. And the town center one would be with the base of commercial. But in any case, even if the housing opportunity gets voted no, any developer can apply for rezoning and it goes through ULOR. We review it as any other project and that will happen. So that site might be redeveloped anyways.
Part of the question, right, city planning went through, right, goes through the armory, right, there's a bunch of private houses. But what's happening was, they were buying the houses up, knocking the houses down, putting 2 houses on the lot. Right, they will promise the person, we'll knock your house down and build 2 houses here, you get one of the houses, we get one of the houses. And now these houses are going up, and they're all rented rooms, and that community feel is gone. So they made changes through city planning to protect that, right, to protect those homeowners, to protect that community feel. Now what you're saying is city of Yes is gonna wipe all that out.
No, I'm not saying that.
Because they're talking about this models, right? Which basically, if I put a little house behind my house, all right, you know what? Nobody needs to park on the block, so I'll just take the parking spot out, I'm gonna build a small unit. I'm gonna put 3 more people in this, but they're saying what, 2 parking spots, there's 2 apartments. And it's gonna start happening for these people that don't live there, so they don't care how full the neighborhood gets, right? They're not there, they don't see that. They're living up in Yonkers now, they're living up in Riverdale, they only gotta collect the rent, they only come down and collect the rent, so they don't care how packed those 2 blocks get. And that's what she's inserting to, where you're gonna have these people putting more housing in what used to be considered parking, right? Because nobody needs to park. Right, so, that's part of the problem. We want to make sure that these neighborhoods, these family-feeling neighborhoods, right? And once you do that, guess what? Now you're not having a barbecue in your backyard anymore. Why? Because you don't have a backyard. It's an apartment, right? So nobody in the house knows each other, so nobody cares, so nobody's going to barbecue. But that doesn't matter to city planning, right? But it matters to those of us that live here and have lived here. That's why I'm saying it's important that these ideas or these recommendations don't get lost in the shuffle. We vote yes for the city of Yes. I want to make sure that these conditions that different residents over the last couple of meetings have brought up, have put together and are valid reasonings be included in this document.
Let's just
Conversation a little bit, you could go down by each section and say, what is it that you would like to modify For this specific.
These are the form. And those notice the meetings. They're not here.
Without ever, but you said it took the light bulb on my head. So what Ed described is two different scenarios. He described a situation where the town center and the center of the both need impact is our same area.
Yeah.
So what happens in that case? I mean, it's.
That's what I'm saying, so she put up 204.
Right.
But the old this is burned out. So what does that mean? This is.
Floor only goes up to the fourth floor, because it's also a transit hub, then it goes up to the fifth floor. You know
Both
what
of them are 5 floors. 4 floors above the commercial, right? That's 5.
What is called?
5. Sorry, yeah. And then about, yes, a quick clarification about the parking. I know we're gonna talk about it, but you won't be able to remove parking from existing
No, it
buildings.
doesn't matter. We
Okay,
back that.
okay.
The city doesn't think that parking matters anyway.
Well,
Elected officials, parking doesn't matter.
but wait,
I'm gonna get Pennsylvania plates on my car. So.
but you're saying the same area. It's not here to the right of the concession.
Yeah, it could be, Yeah.
So we have to really look.
And I think, yeah, we'll clarify when we start. I will clarify a little bit further when we start going to.
I said pretty much 90% notes and everything, and I'm gonna ask one question. Rent stabilization housing stock in the Bronx is empty, correct? Have we done, has the city gone to rent stabilized owners and said, hey, what you've got going on? Because I guarantee you, there are hundreds of vacant apartments, because why? Why? Because the owners don't want to fix them up, because there's not enough money given to help them fix it up. So what's the situation here? Because the city wants to make money, the investors want to make money, then there's tax breaks, then there's this, there's that. So why are we not going back to find out what's going on with the housing in general in the city? So to me, all this is almost a waste of time, a waste of money, a waste of everything. To me, it is. Because it's like there's so many people that are here, again, has stock been taken into what's really going on with our apartments? And mind you, there's people that are making 6 figures, living in rent stabilized apartments, paying $800 a month. Come on, this whole thing is an issue going on right now.
There's
So,
only one correction on what you're saying.
Okay.
Only 0.8% of the rents in the Bronx are empty. That is extremely low. Like we're in a very high urgency, like extremely low.
Did you say 0.8% are empty?
Yeah.
So that's the 1%.
And 1.4 is in the city overall, but 0.8 is in the Bronx.
DHC, I have to do my registration. I do, and I register, and I let them know whether it's vacant or not. Do you understand what I'm saying? People are putting in names and things are vacant, so that data skew. That data skew. 0.8, that's just my opinion. It's the opinion.
1.4,
1.4.
which is also bad,
But
but not as bad as the Bronx.
if I may just say something, I think that you need to, this city planning amendment that's going on is going towards the future of where the city's heading. Right, because even though there's a lot of residents that have left New York City, there's still a lot of people coming into New York City, right? So we're looking, this amendment has to do more with the future, not what the actual situation.
Well, it's to tackle the current situation. We as the city,
Right.
the Department of City Planning, we cannot control how much to charge for rent. We cannot control the maintenance of affordable housing. We cannot control, we're not HPD. But what we can do is create a space for more housing, which will put a balance out there in the market, because the more offer you have, the less pressure on the prices can go down. That's the only thing that we can do, and that's what we're trying.
What
Right.
about as of right property? They can build as high as they want, even though this is what you're saying, that they can't build in this area. If I haven't built it, if I'm a developer and I own the property, ask them, right? Can't I just go without zoning? No, it's
No.
just zoning. With the zoning.
There is a zoning established and that person is as of right as long as complies with that zoning.
Oh,
Yeah, as of right, that's what they need. But why don't we go for each one?
Yeah,
Only because this discussion, we're gonna end up having it on Tuesday or Wednesday or whenever we're gonna have our meeting. And I think that if we don't organize this as we discussing, we're going to be there till midnight.
yeah.
So I would like to recommend that we, as colleagues, let's take it one step by step. You know, I have issues, with Samantha, I also was like, I'm totally, I'm a no, just about everything. Yes, I'm something, but I don't know. But let's go through each one and then everybody can say their piece. So this way we have a record. We're gonna have to go through this again on Tuesday. We're gonna have to give our community board members an opportunity to voice, because they do have a voice and they want to, you know, say what they want to say. So what, can we do that, you know, and take this one step at a time? We still have to have one vote on all this. Oh, no, understood. I understand, but at least when we go through this,
Yeah.
everyone's raising a lot of votes, maybe if you call it that, or what do the eight is going? Or we don't have, I don't have that on this. Yeah. Nice one first.
Is that the only property we have in the board?
That's a copy I wrote, one of the meetings I attended.
I don't think everybody got that. No, I don't.
There's a lot of good stuff. That's what I'm saying, I think it's stuff we want to make sure.
You know what, if we have this much confusion, just as the board members, like, sure, public is gonna lose their minds. Because I.
But has been so many info sessions, so many material, and people just don't care.
They can say what they want. It's gonna be our vote on Tuesday.
At the end.
And I end up that counts at this point, so, but, you know, there's 20 other people that are at this meeting right now, but don't be at hopefully, you know. Meeting on
Yeah.
Tuesday,
I think,
and we want to do
I
that.
think the best way is go through these. Right, we did the last time, when we did it with, the opportunity, economic opportunity.
Right.
Let's go one by one. If you support it, great. If you don't, we'll record why not. And we put it into.
I agree.
And if we have to, for the general public, we'll say CB7 supported A. This is the reason why. CB7 rejected.
Counting the yeses or the noes. Yeah. How many?
I think it's, sorry, it's important because it's also clarified. I believe there is a lot of misinformation.
Or if I may, I don't think that you should just say based on like support or no, support or not support. I think this should be more like to create a list of the items that the community feels do not apply to this community. So you should just overall support or not support the amendment. And then these should just be to clarify, to gather the clarifying points that the community wants to make to city planning. Rather than they just say, okay, 5 people don't support this. You know what I mean?
And we need to be able to articulate that to our members on Tuesday, why whatever everyone's taking here is.
Right, if you support why, and these are the items why we feel we support it, or these are the items that we feel should be exempt from this amendment. And that would clarify for the overall members, I think, rather than going by one by one, again, on the general board.
But yeah, higher are you going to present it? Now, this has been
coming down the pipe for 3 months now. We have sent this out over and over and over again. And so Yahaira is going to present the motion, and then as she presents the motion, she will also present the stipulation. So we're voting this way, and and then we can vote it.
But you should follow the same format that we support this because of, as an overall, but we have these exceptions as an overall, and those, I think the exceptions will be more valuable than the reasons why you support.
Right. And then the other thing is that I think it's clear that some of these things, some of them are not even pertinent to us in some way. So we also, we want to make that clear, where
That they're not applicable.
Exactly.
To CD7, okay.
all right?
Mhm.
So,
Take it, Yahaira.
Okay, so we're gonna start with the low density page. And the first one is town center zoning. We introduce buildings with ground floor commercial and 2 to 4 stories of housing above in areas where this classic building form is banned under today's restrictive zoning.
is that the case for our?
We have from the paperwork we received, and correct me if I'm wrong, there's 2 commercial corridors.
Yeah.
help me out here. It's
There
all
was
of that.
there were 2.
There's Bainbridge and a couple of blocks on.
Corridor.
Yeah.
This one's.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you're right.
No kidding.
Okay.
So areas like along like 198th Street, areas along 204, south of Fordham or Kingsbridge, I should say. Those are the areas that can be considered town center, like Gun Hill Road, that will be a town center.
No, but this is, low density. So if you look at page 18, and you're looking at the presentation, Stephen, can you open your computer?
Yeah, and it's slide 4.
Yeah, so it's the, town center, but it's commercial with low density.
Oh,
Right,
sorry.
I think that requires high density, you have Kingsbridge, pretty high. Page 18. It says, low density town center zoning. It's the map of the, red highlight.
Can I make a suggestion? The email you sent out with all the links, like they're all there.
Yeah.
Oh, I know, if you guys want to open up your.
And yeah, and just to clarify, this is the one that we were talking about, it's a base of commercial, like wherever you see a base of commercial right now, to add maximum 4, so a total of 5 stories.
All right, I'm looking at a different presentation. Okay, page 9.
Wait, is it?
So this is Sarah Center's on.
So there's red.
So that area on Bainbridge.
Yes, it's all the whole with that.
It goes down.
Yeah.
It's the one with the red strips.
A little strip.
Because you're looking at.
It's page 9. It's page 9.
Yeah, but you're looking at
Page 9.
Yeah. But also. No, you're right. You're right. It's only this is showing all the low density.
That's just the low density area.
Yeah, so
That's a different.
this one is correct. It's just there too.
It's page 9 for you. Yeah, I have it page 18, but I don't know.
And it's,
Yes.
it is,
Is there one with the 2 sections? So, I think maybe pass it on what you have. We made the presentation. You do? I do. Okay, then what I need is better. It's 59.
This should be an easy one, sorry. This is one of the easy ones.
So we go around, okay, we support, we don't support, noting concerns.
Council zoning, anybody have any opinion?
I support. Support.
Makes sense to me.
Okay, yeah, I think we support, a raise of hand.
Yeah.
Support, we support.
Zoning. Okay, no. Anyone not supporting? Not supporting. Okay, there was 1, 2, okay.
Any comments to note on this one?
For what, for you guys to say yes on? Your comments for yes?
Is there any comments coming from the board? Why you don't support it?
I listen, there's rent stabilization to housing stock out there, people need to look into it, and I said that in each and every one of my comments.
They look at that as an HPD issue.
Well,
I don't understand why, what does this have to do with rent stabilization?
The thing is that people mix the two.
Before we move on, let's give everybody the opportunity if they do, because remember, we have to repeat this again on Tuesday. So let's do this orderly. So Samantha, you're not supporting it based on rent stabilization concerns. Betty, your reasoning?
I'm not supporting it just because I don't want any more congestion.
No more congestion, okay.
I can you add me to that.
Yes. Moving on, the next one. Transit-oriented development. Allow modest 3 to 5 story apartment buildings where they fit best. Large lots within half a mile of subway or rail stations that are on wide streets or corners. Support?
Can I say something before we move on? It is probably our flaw, but maybe the support should be like support with conditions, so we take into account.
But I'm making notes of the two people that are
Okay,
not supporting
yeah.
it because everybody else is not adding to. We
So
support it as
when
it
they
is.
create
We just
the-
want to make sure that people know that the abstention, the reasoning why those two people are not
Yeah.
supporting.
When they create the actual motion,
They
they
will
would
name
say
it.
support with,
Okay.
sorry.
All right.
I think there was something on that phrase where they did this. What the heck is that?
Sliver building. Sliver building.
No, the sliver building is a whole another issue. Let's concentrate on this transit oriented.
It's another part of it.
It's another part of it.
Section by section.
All right, okay.
Yes.
When you say where they fit best, I mean, who's to decide where they fit best? Because maybe somebody else fits best in that space. That's just too open-ended.
I think it's up to the developer to decide if if this could work for that location. But remember that each section of the city already has an established zoning district, right? So that district will determine if it can be done or it cannot be done. So it's not like, oh, I have this whole new tool that I could build 5 stories, but the district might not allow you to do it.
Correct.
Anyway,
Do we support?
Support.
Take a vote. Yes? No?
1, 2, 3, and 4. Those carried. 4, 3, no.
Okay, we do not support.
Transit-oriented development.
So we have 3 no. 4 no.
Okay, 4 no's. Okay, the next one, accessory dwelling units. Permit accessory dwelling units such as backyard cottages, garage conversions, and basement apartments. Do we support?
No,
Do not.
So I,
No,
yes.
yeah, hierarchy, fine. Transit or basic development, just to get a couple of comments of why not. And what's the reasoning?
And I go back to the same thing. It's just, that's my line.
For what?
For housing, rent stabilization, and then I wanted something with.
Yeah, but, so we have said, like, this is a zoning conversation, right? It has nothing to do with the conversation that you are bringing. Oh, right, this is just to look at zoning, like land use and zoning. You know, if that, yes, it's a very important conversation to have, but it's absolutely not the topic of that.
So. I'm saying, okay.
So zoning doesn't determine the cost of an apartment. That's determined by a whole different set of.
I'm not talking about just the cost of the apartment. I'm talking about the fact that there are apartments available and there's.
That's a 0.8%.
0.8%.
Okay, I'll let you guys go with your data, but I'm still gonna stay with what I said.
What is your data? Where's your data?
I cannot respond on my own data because I don't have any. I can only respond on what it is that I know and I see about being a member of the Rent Stabilization Association. And I see what goes on and what the story is. So that's all I gotta say.
Okay, wait, going back to
Going back
transit
to-
oriented dwelling, is it safe to say
Yeah.
no more congestion?
That's-
Are we saying that, no more, as overall, no more?
But can I also say in support of that, so we have folks that live 15, 20, 25 minutes away from the nearest train station that impacts their commute. Like, we have a really big transit problem in the Bronx, and we are saying no to housing that's by transit because of congestion. Like, we want folks to be able to go through the city, work, be able to live their lives without needing a car. We're moving towards the city without a car, but we do not want more housing near transit. And as a, yeah, like, even for, you can't, how easy is it to put, they've been building the second avenue subway for how many years?
And the MTA can handle their budget, they can handle their budget.
So I think you bring up a very good point, that half a mile. It's, it needs to start way now of going, and I just feel like we've had enough. Okay, this is argument for that, but you're right.
Yeah, but this is further home to CB7. You're talking about, in general, there are parts of the Bronx that are under transit desert. We're talking about right now CB7. This has to do with CB7, and CB7 is not a transit desert. Plenty of transit, and there's also a lot of buildings going on. You know, we have a lot of buildings going up, and we also have transit. And my concern about congestion is also the impact on infrastructure. Something that was brought up by the former president at the town hall meeting. She said, you know, she had questions about where, you know, schools, hospital, transit, police, fire, sanitation. The congestion is not just the people, but the infrastructure is needed to support the additional people. And, you know, we have a lot of issues as enough as it is with what we have, adding more people to our community board, I think is.
Ray, you want to add any of that?
Oh, we have a, sorry.
Go ahead.
to her point, we've asked this question from city planning for many years, right? They have plans of things that are going to be opening, plans of things that are coming, right? Because the population has been upgraded as much as it has in this area, right? So they've said that this area, District 10 needs more schools, right? So they're still 15 years, 10 years back, trying to catch up with the addition of schools, hospitals, of all these. We've asked to try to get those numbers, like what are you looking for? What kind of student base do you need in order to support this area? Now what's happening is a lot of these buildings are being turned into shelters, right? So that brings more families with more kids that need schools in a place where we were already having a problem with schools, right? Not to take away from the transit, right? Because in theory, right, CB7 isn't considered a transit desert, right? Because no matter where you stand, there's some type of bus or train station wherever you have CB7,
Yeah,
right? You have Metro North on one side of us, you have Metro North on the other side of us. You have the 4 line, the D line, the buses, the Westchester buses. So it's CB7 for the most part. There really aren't, maybe the last 2 plots of the cemetery might fall under being, a transit desert. But there's places like Bronx Neck, there's places like Hunts Point, where, like she says, you have to do half an hour travel in order to get to where you need to go. But what we've got to look at, what they want to make sure is that we are not overburdening what we already have. Right now, I used to get on the train at 5, 6 in the morning to go to work. I don't know. We go to work at 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning. We used to get on the train and meet 4 other people. 3 out of the 4, we either worked construction or we worked at the coffee shop that fed the construction. Right? Now, 5 o'clock in the morning, you can't even get a seat on the streets. Right? Because of this is a transit hub, and all these people that moved in here, but in the Villa Avenue, they've got 10 buildings they put in. It used to be a house. It's now an 8-story building, now a 12-story building.
Okay, but guys, I'm sorry, but let's not refer from the point, right? We're talking housing, not infrastructure. So that's a whole different department of the city, right? That's Department of Education, that's Department of Transportation. So we're talking about, do we allow housing in that particular?
I think you have to think in
Area,
terms
right?
of your own neighborhood and our own community board, because we've had our city of yes, I think in Ward 7, there's so much building going on, we have so much in way of housing and all that haven't even opened because they're waiting for a certificate of occupancy and all. So to think in these terms and how many more people we're definitely going to have, and then to say yes to a lot of these items.
Right, exactly. I mean, we are in a brand new building right now, right?
Can I remind
That
that
we are
this,
taking advantage of as a community, right?
can I remind that this only applies for low density districts? If you see your presentation, it's only where the purple is mapped.
It's there. That's 80, but that's here. Where is it?
No, this area is not considered low.
That's high.
So it applies where right now is low, very low density. There's space for 3 stories more, and it's up to 5 maximum.
That would be around Bainbridge. That's a low, considered a low density area.
I believe so. This is Bainbridge.
Want to move on? Can we give the higher of our attention to go move on? Go ahead.
So we're gonna go to accessory dwelling units, permit accessory dwelling units such as backyard cottages, garage conversions, and basement apartments.
All right, anybody want to add anything on that before we go?
District fixes, accessory dwelling units.
Backyard cottages, garage conversion to basement conversion. All right, want to vote? All those who are in favor of this, raise your hand. All those who are opposed, raise your hand. So no. And primarily because in most cases, the owner of the property doesn't live there. And it becomes a rental and there's nobody really checking on the safety. We have that fire that ready to go.
So it's like a situation.
There were, that was 3 dogs, right?
Two yes, and the rest were no.
Thank you.
Okay. All
Next
right.
one, this district fixes, give homeowners additional flexibility to adapt their homes to meet their family's needs.
Did we just?
No.
Okay.
This is for the people that live there to fix it And it's pretty different.
Okay, more,
Right.
with that, they need following DOB requirements.
Of course.
And permits and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. It's
Yeah.
That's all homework.
Right.
Yes.
All right, all those in favor?
Wait, there's to, well, to build.
No, no,
No,
it's
exactly.
on your side.
I'll give an example. So before I came to the US, my family, the home had a garage.
Yeah.
So they went through the permit process to convert that garage into a bedroom, so I can go and get on games. But that's, I guess, I don't know what they went through to go through that process, to go through all that process, but adding flexibility would be like, if making it easier for homeowners to do that conversion of that.
Remember, guys, this is zoning. This is based on
Yeah.
all zoning laws that are in existence, so this will allow, certain things to get up to date, to come to the 21st century. So if you're a homeowner, and you have the space, and your family is growing, this will allow you to do so without the red tape of the old zoning law.
Exactly.
So that was me saying I could build back in the backyard, the spot, I can't build that back.
That's different. No, this is different.
This is different.
This is not an independent dwelling. It's
Within the
This is my home. So if I were to put a structure back,
That's not the case.
You already voted no to that, Jean.
Okay, but you already voted no.
You already voted no.
You
Okay,
voted, you
hold
just
on.
voted no on that.
That's what's considered an accessory dwelling,
Right.
and you voted no.
This is
no,
not,
this is just your fixes. So
But this is like allowing like a smaller addition to the house, like making the basement bedroom legal,
you're not building something separate.
but not building something separate.
let's example, your house is attached to a garage, right?
Okay.
Your garage, you have the space above your garage, and you wanna make a bedroom. Not an
Not an
apartment, a
apartment.
bedroom above that garage. This gives you the zoning right to apply for it,
The
to
flexibility.
add those walls above the garage to make that extra bedroom.
Gotcha.
As long as it complies with the safety of
The
DOB
B.
and
You
the
still have to
code
go through the other,
agency.
agencies and get everything right. However, the zoning will allow you to do so as long as everything else is in place.
Exactly.
Right? That's a better example?
Yes.
Okay.
I gotta say something. I have a lot of people with houses that have balconies, front or back of the house have balconies. This will allow them to close the balcony, make that a room. Either in the front of the house, the back of the house, where you're not changing the construction of the house per se, you're not increasing the footprint, you're just repurposing the space. So it used to be a balcony or a staircase, now it'll be a bedroom, and then you can just change the entrance. Right, the backyard.
Exactly.
All right, all those in favor?
All those in favor?
Everyone's. in.
Anybody opposed? Already carried. All right, next one.
So we're gonna use the balcony and
Yeah,
the garage.
What's this about?
As examples.
Yes.
Okay, next one, now we're going to, the second page is medium and high density, okay? So the next one is universal affordability preference. Allows buildings to add at least 20% of more housing if the additional homes are permanently affordable. This proposal extends an existing rule for affordable senior housing to all forms of affordable and supportive housing.
This is the one that you were asking about, Jean, during the town hall, about the affordable, at the extra floors on the buildings.
Okay. Also,
Right.
that's what this.
Yes,
So basically, this will allow an extra, for you to add 20% more housing as long as they're permanently
Yeah.
affordable.
They
And it
must
stays- And
be.
it has to stay that way.
Forever. Yeah,
This is all new buildings or existing buildings? No, this is on.
this is on new buildings. Like new buildings are gonna happen, right? But the option here is that they can build 20% more as long as that's forever affordable.
So, okay, so to be clear, this is specifically
60.
for new buildings.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, because we're gonna have to explain this, for new buildings only.
This is the issue that we were discussing about the 60%
AMI.
AMI, right? And that I explained that in the zoning already exists, this already exists at 80%. So we're making affordability better.
I think we already approved something when the Botanical Gardens was putting up the building at the site of Cherry Valley.
That's a different program because that was,
But it was very fresh.
that's the fresh food program. That if they provide a supermarket, then they're able to build one extra story, right? So this would, if this was in place, this would have allowed
Probably
two additional stories to that project. But that project had to be a 60% AMI for the lifetime of the building.
And it can also be 30, even more affordable, as long as it accomplishes the 60% AMI average.
Right, so it just brings down the affordability.
Hey, all those in favor of this? 3, 4, 5, 6, all those opposed? All those opposed, 1.
I'm abstaining.
And 1 abstention. Okay.
I have a comment for that.
Go ahead.
We need to take a realistic look at those numbers, right? This isn't voting yes or voting no, right? Voting yes for the concept and the idea. But what I'm adding to the document is that realistic numbers have to be researched in what they're calling affordability.
Yeah, okay, that's a good point.
So just to your point, Edgar, remember that is.
No, it doesn't have to do with this. I
With the
understand that.
zoning,
But
but with
they
HPD.
can go to HPD and they can,
Right.
like, keep it as a part of the argument, like.
Okay, so we'll put it with a yes, but also with the recommendation that
Right.
research,
Exactly.
that we research as to what is,
Realistic
affordability, realistic.
Right, so you
Okay.
should say HPD. HPD should research.
Well, it depends who's doing the record.
Wait,
A lot
I
of
just
these-
want to say, HB, like, the Civic Engagement Commission just sent an email with a ton of training, HBD and affordable housing was one of them, so we sent it that link.
But.
So everyone, so that's the right platform.
A lot of these programs are state programs, right? Which we as a city agency don't have control at. But what I'm saying is, they need to address it up to the state, up to whoever has to be addressed to
The
it.
federal.
Okay, look, yeah, we're gonna allow that, but understand, in order for the people that live here now, in order them to continue living here, you need to look at what your affordability rate is. Otherwise, all you're doing is building buildings for people that aren't here right now. You want these people to come in, that are middle market and luxury, either that, unless it's supportive housing, right, then supportive housing is great. But then the developer gets all the money and the city, the state pays it anyway. Right, but that's what this is all
To move on, go ahead.
Okay, the next one, this one, is under citywide, and this is lift costly parking mandates, eliminate mandatory parking requirements for new buildings, parking would still be allowed, and projects can add what is appropriate at their location.
Explain, there's mandatory parking requirements in buildings. So, no,
But there's some.
There's a lot of buildings that are going up with
No
no.
problem.
Yeah, they waive it because they are part of the transit zone.
Ah, okay, I'm sitting down the block, okay. So we're limiting.
So we vote yes, then we are agreeing to eliminate parks.
Eliminate the requirement of parking, like the parking mandate. We're not eliminating parkings. We don't have the power to do that. But we have the power to say, if you want to develop housing, you can provide a building without the parking.
Which is what we have.
Oh, the problem is, the buildings are being built as of right, so they don't have to meet these requirements. Because the requirements are if they're building 410, if they're building certain other things, then they have to do that. Like what happened on the building on my block, right? They first built the building, it was supposed to be a supportive housing building. Like it was brought to us, they said, look, this is gonna be senior housing. Senior housing don't need cars, so they don't need parking spaces, blah, blah, blah. Oh, wait, you know what, we couldn't get the funding for making senior housing, so this is now gonna be market rate apartments, so it's already built, so we can't put the parking. Have a good day, thank you.
All right, so let's take a vote.
I don't know what, wait, I think there's a misconception of what as of right is. Building as of right is if I have a site in an R7 district and I am a developer and I want, or the owner, you're my developer, I invite you and you will model a project for R7. That is building as of right, that's it. What is not as of right is if I want to do R10, let's say, then I need to go through the ULURP and then I go to the etc. And that's no longer as of right. But the rest of the things as of right has nothing to do with parking. That's what I'm trying to explain.
But there is no incentive here for the developers to put the parking.
Because we have transit.
Yeah.
That's what we.
But as
see.
a community board, you guys can say, you know what, we're not gonna support this project.
Projects will still go through the community boards.
Right.
To say that they wanted to 900 codes, I shared house. When they came, I told them, you have to put in some parking. So you may not have as much parking as this building across the street, but at least put in, how many spaces can you put in? And I would not okay them unless they put in some parking because we understood. And I had arguments with the Blasio when he came out with that statement that didn't need parking because we lived in New York City and we were transit rich, and I told him, yeah, but you got a car, so after that. So my question here is, that means that according to this, they don't have to put in parking period, right?
That is correct.
All those in favor of removing costly parking mandates? Raise your hand. All right, one. All right, all those opposed to this?
And one
Six,
abstention.
Abstentions?
Yeah.
One abstention. Okay, move on.
Sorry, how many yeses?
Yes.
And other people are doing it, I can do
Yeah.
it.
One yes, one
yes.
6
So
no.
6 no,
Six
sorry,
no's
and
and
one
one
abstention, yeah. And the reasoning, remember, we're doing reasoning.
That car ownership is still important for a lot of families. Whether we transit it or not, there are families that require, to be able to have a car, to be able to transport families, elderly relatives, whatever. I mean, sometimes we go to Westchester and other.
Okay. Okay. This is a quick.
I have eight now. We have one abstention and one support. So it's not six.
Yeah, it's 6 no.
It's 6 no.
6 no's, 1 yes, and 1 abstention, that's 8.
There's a non-people.
What was this?
No, I'm not voting. Oh, you are.
So I'm
I
7.
voted. You haven't voted.
So 7. Nobody counted me. Nobody counted me, okay?
You haven't been voting yet.
It's always not. Okay, so that's, no, I'm saying. All right.
Okay, next one. Convert non-residential buildings to housing. Make it easier for underused non-residential buildings such as offices to be converted into housing.
I think that's more relevant to Manhattan, other places where we have all.
Well, not also, we have warehouses, Sand Carpet is, they want to apartments. One, but I know it makes it easier, but they have to go through help to try to do that. So what they're doing is, they're making it easier for the developer to take the building It's already constructed, other than having to do.
Like up in the launch.
Right. So there's
Pull
no,
that
there's
down,
no
start from scratch.
There's-
This way they can.
there's warehouses that they can turn into lofts, there's different things they can do, like one person.
Yeah, well, yeah, warehouses.
Okay, guys, remember, this is under citywide.
Yes.
We're under the
Okay,
citywide.
so a warehouse wouldn't be able to be converted because the district that is, those warehouses are done, do not allow residential.
So this would
Right,
change the
so-
zoning.
So in order for them to build that, they will have to go to city planning.
Change the zoning.
To change the zoning. So it's existing buildings that are maybe, let's say, like one Fordham
Offices.
Plaza, right? If they wanted to convert that to housing. That's already in a building that might allow it.
But it has to be, it has to be. In order for
Offices
that.
that don't use it.
Like what
That's
they-
up to the owner of the building to.
Let's take a vote on this. All those in favor of allowing this conversion, raise your hand.
Citywide, right?
Yes.
4, 5, 6, 7 yeses. All those opposed? 1, abstentions? Abstention, right? 1. Okay, move on.
Wait, the reason, remember, we gotta do a reason. Reason, are we doing it for yes? The reason,
We'll do whatever that vote.
to allow for, as a support, okay, to allow housing.
I think we should just do the reasons for like.
Yeah, but it's good to have.
We don't have a situation.
We're gonna go back to this.
The reason should be for the yes, like yes with condition of blah, blah, blah. Okay,
Right.
let's move forward. Mahon, share
All
housing.
right, next one, building citywide, small and shared housing. Reintroduce housing with shared kitchens or other common facilities. Eliminate strict limits on apartments.
All right, all in favor of allowing this to happen citywide, raise your hand. All opposed, raise your hand. 3, 4, 5, 6.
That's fine.
Zero.
Single home,
Right, so,
I'm in favor of this,
You're going,
in favor.
you're in favor? All right, so.
okay, we gotta do it.
All right.
Yeah.
Favor of not supporting this, raise your
That's
hand.
support.
1, 2,
Come on, there.
3, 4, 5, 6. In favor of supporting it. 1, 2, 3. All right, that's 9. Okay.
And the reason for the no?
Shared bathrooms and.
I mean, we can have hospitals.
Wait, let me back up a second, because our family used to have SRO, right? So there was one kitchen that everybody shared. There were 2 bathrooms that everybody shared. You had your own room.
Mhm.
So is that basically what this is saying?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you're sharing.
Common
But you
spaces.
always share.
No, but the idea is that these are like, new type of typologies or some buildings that already have that will be more allowed.
So you can have more SROs with the shared facility.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, you can take,
I know what that
you
is.
can take
Yeah.
a building and start apartment.
Are you changing your vote?
Yeah, I'll change my.
And she's 2, now it's 6 to 6.
Yeah.
6.
I mean, it already happens everywhere. It already happens.
We're gonna do this one again. Okay, I'm gonna do it again, right? Okay, it just says reintroduce housing with shared kitchen and other common facilities. Eliminate strict limits on studios and 1-bedroom apartments.
All right, all those in favor?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All those opposed? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay,
We can support. Okay, next
all
one.
right, move on.
Okay, campus infill. Make it easier to add new housing on large sites that have existing buildings on them and already have ample space to add more, such as a church with an oversized parking lot.
Yeah. Okay, already. Yes.
And that's what they did on Ursula
Yes, single, yes.
Adjacent to.
Yes. Okay. All in favor, all in favor?
I mean, it's happening.
You know, it's, right.
Yeah, but they had to come to the community, ask for
So now the.
variances.
They will.
Well, Edgar, you raise your hand. No. Oh, six, I had six. I had Michelle, myself, Barbara, Samantha.
So, wait a minute,
We're
we're
in
in
favor
favor of this, we're in favor.
In favor.
4, 5, 6.
Six.
All right,
That's-
opposed, raise your hand. 1, 2. All right.
So yes, carried.
Abstentions. Wait, I'm sorry. Who's,
We're missing one.
Yes,
did you
one's
vote?
missing. I said yes.
Oh, all right, okay, so. Okay.
Seven yes.
All right, go ahead.
All right, now we're moving on to miscellaneous. Okay. So here we go. New zoning districts, create new resident districts requiring mandatory inclusionary housing that can be mapped in central areas in compliance with state requirements. And this is citywide as well.
Yeah, and the process is the same. They will need to go through Euler. So projects will come here for voting.
But this just use the state numbers.
Affordable, whatever is, we just say
I'm
affordable.
just saying, it's the state, the state movement. It's the same problem.
Wait, it's the same, it's the same.
What does it
Okay.
mean?
What it's saying, right, is,
Wait,
Wait, let him explain this, but he's, what does it mean?
We are creating new zoning districts where mandatory inclusionary housing is required.
So mandatory,
Not, you know how right now you can apply for mandatory inclusionary housing? Those new zoning districts will require the mandatory inclusionary housing.
so now it's not optional, now it's a mandatory, it will be
To
mandatory.
only some of them, not all of the
Not all of
zoning
them.
districts, yeah,
But depending on the zoning that it gets redone.
correct.
Right, so for example, when they rezone Jerome Avenue, right? When they rezone Jerome Avenue, all of that district has mandatory inclusionary housing. Because it was absent,
What does it
right?
mean, mandatory inclusionary housing?
So mandatory inclusionary housing is an affordable housing term where I was saying that requires the 80%, or there's options that the developer can do, 80% AMI or another deep affordability. There's several options that they
Do you
could.
support it as well? Is that-
No, that's a whole different, that's a
It'll
whole
be-
different
it'll
thing.
be Market plus.
Affordable housing,
All.
right?
Well, we're gonna get this question, is this inclusionary of AMI? Is that what we're talking about? I'm just trying to figure out,
Yeah.
does it involve
It
AMI?
doesn't
Yes.
enforce a specific percentage of AMI, but it involves AMI, yeah.
Yes.
So 50% would be a line and the rest would be.
No, that depends on the project. This is only literally about the FAR, like how much they can build. Like it's a new type of district that they can build more if there is with the MIH, sorry, included. That makes sense. So for example, R6D, the basic FAR, the floor area ratio is 2.5. And with this goes up to 3. That's it. Like we are
Right, so they are able to build more, but whatever they build additional has to be affordable.
So we're going.
yeah.
So it's.
So it's the same idea of the UAP, right? It's just that the UAP now is catching up to mandatory inclusionary housing that already exists.
So what currently chart right now is 80% they want to no income candidates. And then the new will be 60% of income candidates. That was the problem, right? Is it this page here? This page, 28, 32, whatever.
It would create.
No, that's not the, sorry, that's not the.
But yeah, a zoning type where you can mandate mandatory
Inclusionary.
Inclusionary.
housing. So let's say by, I don't even want to pick a neighborhood, but
Yeah.
let's say there's the potential of them coming up with one area that's just zoned for affordable housing.
You guys are segregating.
No, so this is what Eric was saying, but what happened on Jerome Avenue, remember there were a lot of tiny shops.
The Jerome Cromwell project. What was the name of that project? Jerome Cromwell.
So, okay, so for example, when you guys rezoned Webster Avenue, right? When Webster Avenue was rezoned, they created a new district that's the R7D, right? The R7D district has the specific requirements of affordability and like commercial in the ground floor, etc., right? So that's kind of the same idea of what this is to create a new district, like let's say if 204 were to be upzoned, right? So they could say this district is now an R7X, for example, which requires mandatory inclusionary housing, which will require affordable units there for the lifetime of the project.
But is that a new project or that for an existing?
No, new
For
project.
new projects. for
Yeah,
new projects.
and you still need to apply for the rezoning, because these are, remember, this is explaining that it's creating new zoning districts.
Yes, and in this
Right now that they're not
within
an
a-
option.
within a neighborhood.
Yeah,
Yes.
they will still need to go through the ULURP process.
That's what happened. It went from commercial to. Because of the solos, the garages, and what happened.
Right, exactly. So on Jerome, which was a manufacturing district, right, it doesn't allow residential. So they created a mixed use district that allows both uses to be done, and that will create more housing with affordable components.
And change the zoning will be done by. the board?
Right, they have to go through the whole ULURP process. So
We're
city
not-
planning would be the lead, of course, and then it will come through ULURP.
But they would do a lot of community sessions. I remember going through a lot of Jerome Avenue.
Yeah.
sessions.
Yeah.
A lot of them, and a lot of agencies got involved. And a lot of agencies that came together to hold those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is basically what happened at Fort Landing. Fort Landing, remember, we had to do the ULURP, we had to do, because it was taking all that, a lot of that was considered as manufacturing, so it had to be converted. They had to do the same thing on Webster. They started putting all these buildings on Webster. Remember, everything along the Metro North tracks was all considered industrial. So they had to rezone all of them. You know, there was places where there were factories, they had to clean, they had to do the abatement of wherever they were. Remediation and all that. So it's the same thing. So this kind of facilitates having the whole, like, really, this is the, they will have something in place of what guidelines they have to follow. So it makes it the process moving.
So it doesn't eliminate market rate.
It doesn't eliminate market rate, and it's not 100% mandatory inclusionary housing also, like it depends on the project, right? For these new districts to be implemented, they must have mandatory inclusionary housing, but that doesn't mean that it's 100%, not all of the units. So yes, we're not eliminating market rate, but they have to have a percentage of them.
Of affordable.
Of affordable.
Just so.
We have the vote.
FYI, it's kind of what Brookfield Properties did down in Mali, right? So they rezoned all of that, and that used to be industrial, so it's all housing. It's all pretty, it's like one of the Tribeca. But they had to, in order to follow what he's saying, they had to make some of that just for people that were permanently unhoused. They had a certain number, so they were looking for more closer to the market rate rents. So they were on the higher end, which was the 80% of the AMI, because that's what they were looking for. But within that property, they had to still provide the people that were previously unhoused, veterans. They have other things that they have to provide for the neighborhood. But the numbers is whatever whatever the developer wants to do. You know, they can do it up in Webster, they might go lower. It all depends, but depending on the numbers, would depend on what they would have to meet.
Right. But just a clarification, Edgar. So the on-house percentage is not it's not a zoning requirement. It's a city council
It's part of
requirement.
When in this case will be required to be, for there to be mandatory inclusionary housing.
Right.
It's
No, he's talking about
The percentage of AMI.
the homeless units.
Oh, sorry.
So
Sorry,
that's more like,
So it's based on the amount of the income of what I'm trying to understand what we're talking about with mandatory inclusionary.
right, so it's based on the income.
So this is income based. Okay, vote.
Okay, all in favor of the provision, raise your hands, please. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 yeses. Not in favor of the provision? One abstaining. All right, and 1 abstention.
I think for this one, we also need to include the statement that we put in before, where, the programs have to have realistic numbers of what they call. You know, like I said, once again, this isn't city planning's definition of the numbers. This is the state's definition of the numbers.
So the same
They're
thing,
using state programs.
so research as to what is being called affordable,
Right,
affordability
they need
based.
to reevaluate.
Define it.
Right. No, it's defined, it's defined.
Yeah.
Read the, yeah.
What's happening now.
Mhm.
Okay, you're on, go ahead.
Okay, the next one is update to mandatory inclusionary housing. Allow the deep affordability option in mandatory inclusionary housing to be used on its own. And this is also citywide.
Wait,
No.
Okay,
No.
fine.
This one is very complex, I didn't understand it.
No.
This is for the.
It's the, next, one that has an update to mandatory inclusionary housing.
This is specifically to streamline rules for the projects that are 100% affordable.
Right.
Basically to make it easier for those projects that seek 100% affordability, to make it easier for them.
Okay, so this is specific to those
Projects
new
with
buildings,
100%
new
affordable.
buildings that want 100%.
Yeah.
Affordability.
So these are new projects that want 100% affordability. Is that clear?
Citywide,
This is citywide. So my guess is that if a developer comes in and says, okay, I want to develop here in this particular zone, but I want for it to be 100% affordable. This
They
would-
will do MIH option 3. The rezoning. Well, we review the application. They will need to explain why are they rezoning, right?
So so the applications will come with explanation as to why.
Of course, like any other ULURP process.
What happened with the mandatory?
Exactly. So they
What happens
approach
with the
us.
mandatory inclusion, what I was trying to explain before? There's like 2 or 3 options that a developer they choose to do, right? So there's the 80% affordability, there's a 40% affordability or something like that, and there's this the deep affordability, which is even lower, which requires a higher percentage of the units to be affordable. Right, so each of those affordability levels that they choose have a percentage attached to them, right? So this is all like in conjunction with HPD financing, etc. But it's a very complicated, complex situation that without the financing, But it has to do more with the financing than with,
So
Develop.
now we have mixed incomes, 20% of this level, or this, the developer will come in and say, I want all low income.
right, they could choose, let's say, if they do, which is called the ELA program, right, in HPD. So if they do the ELA program, which is 100% affordability, but then if they're able to build additional floors because of mandatory inclusionary housing, 25% of those units need to be deep affordable. Like more affordable than 80%, more affordable than 60%.
Yeah, actually, MIH option 3, so the one that we are discussing, is a new one. It will require 20% at an average of 40 AMI,
Right.
which is really good.
Which is really more.
20% of the building will need to be 40% AMI. Yeah,
But it would be mixed though.
yeah.
It'll still be-
Well,
it'll still be a mix, but they have the option to keep all of it.
Option.
Yeah. Optional, yes. They can provide 10% for 30% AMI if they want.
Of the whole building.
But this is to Edgar's point, when he was saying, this is a more realistic number of what you actually can afford.
Yeah.
As opposed to the amount that you have now, where it says affordable housing, but it's 80%, 130%, and your property, one bedroom apartment could be 3,000 and something.
Yeah.
So, but this is also opening the door for it to be optional. Not,
No, because.
No,
it's
you can only
mandatory.
use AMI, you can only use MIH option 3 if you're gonna do a.
no, but that's what I'm talking about. When they put it in their application, it's an option of which one of the three they want to select. So if
Of
they,
course,
so if they do
yeah.
select,
Under mandatory inclusionary housing, you have 3 options
okay.
of affordability that you can select.
Yeah, but they get less development rights, like the
Right,
FAR is
exactly.
lower. Yeah.
Exactly.
No, they've been, everyone is allowed to do 100% affordable already. Here, what we are doing is more FAR.
Right, so it's the same concept of adding the additional floors, right, to the building.
Yeah.
That, what MIH allows you to have additional floors, maybe 1 or 2 floors. But those within the whole building, you need to provide 20% or 30% of units to be at different levels of affordability. So with the deep affordability, we're now required to be 40%, which before wasn't. There wasn't a specific affordability level, right? Or there was.
Yeah, there is 20% set aside and at an average of 40%.
Just so you guys are aware, the deep affordability, that was something that was added by Tish James. When Tish James was the council person, when they did that Jerome College project, right? She looked and she says, nobody in this neighborhood can afford these apartments who are going to build. All the new buildings on Jerome were not really affordable to the people that live there. She had them build, I believe, 1 or 2 buildings that is considered the deep affordable housing, which allowed people from the neighborhood to stay and move into those apartments with their current incomes.
Right.
Either because they're on disability, if they're on social security, if they're on public assistance, whatever reason, their income can't change. So they need something that's built within a range that they can afford. And that deep affordable was able to house those people that lived in that neighborhood.
Are we ready to vote? All those in favor of this component? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Opposed? And 1 abstention. No opposed, 1 abstention. Okay, we can move on.
Next one is the sliver law. Allow narrow lots to achieve underlying quality housing heights in R7-R10 districts.
It's like that building on Silver Street.
Little sliver building.
That's being built under the sliver.
So
It's almost incorporated.
They go to our private homes in the community, it's that's what they're part of. The pencil, you call it pencil, yeah. Private home, and there they go.
It says it, allow narrow lots to achieve underlying quality housing rights.
All right, provision, raise your hand, please. One, okay, all those opposed? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. Okay, we're ready to move on.
Okay, and the no is
We don't
self-explanatory.
want to lose the mixture of private homes that we have.
I just feel like that's what the story is to begin.
Okay.
They want to come and buy me out, they want to give me.
Sure.
Want to come in pennies for it.
Yeah.
Next one, quality housing amenity changes. Extend amenity benefits in the quality housing program to all multifamily buildings and update to improve incentives for family-size apartments, trash storage and disposal, indoor recreational space and share facilities like laundry, mailrooms, and office space. This is citywide.
Was that like the new building, right?
Yeah, this is for new buildings. Right now, there is only certain amenities that qualify. Like we give more development rights if they provide amenities, right? So now we are updating that all of these that you see listed also count as amenities because they were not in the zoning resolution before. And
So are these,
Is there something like
incentive that we're in right now?
This is.
This building,
This
this
That's
building
it.
falls under that. The benefit.
yeah, like this room.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
See, now mandatory developers.
No. It's yeah, it's an extension. Like we give rights as long as they provide them. Like it's an incentive
Incentive.
to do it. Yeah.
All those in favor of these incentives, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all in favor? All right,
Next one, landmark transferable development rights. Make it easier for landmarks to sell unused development rights by expanding transfer radius and simplifying procedure. And this is citywide.
So the Valentine, I took that Valentine home on Bainbridge.
yeah,
So there's a little bit of, you know, land and property there. So they're able to what with that, for example. You know what I'm talking about?
Right, so they will be able to sell their air rights to and build to a property
neighbor.
that's within a certain radius.
so they're gonna do.
So, for example, like Grand Central Station,
Okay.
right? So Grand Central Station sold the air rights to a lot of the buildings around it in order to be able for those buildings to
Okay.
be
It
taller.
doesn't go there.
Right.
Okay.
So that's why
But it wouldn't touch the status of the landmark.
it wouldn't
course,
touch
no.
the stand, no.
But they
For
just sell it to
example, like the
somebody else.
Kingsbridge Armory, if they wanted to, they could sell air rights to the neighborhood to create
Of the
more.
developers that-
So the 52nd precinct, which is a landmark building, right? And say they wanted to take part of their property, this is space over to the side, is actually their property. So could they expand the precinct or over to that area?
For example, the police station, right? So 52nd precinct, who sell air rights to Sam's Carpet, right? Because it's
But
okay,
not for themselves.
not for themselves.
No, because it's a landmark. It's
Because it's a
protected.
landmark, so they cannot touch the landmark,
But
they
they
cannot
get
build.
money for it.
But whatever air rights that they have, they could sell it to
Somebody.
Okay.
the property across the street or down the block or something.
It's kind of like what they did at St. James, you know, how the church, next to the church, they now have a company.
Yes.
And sell those airways in order to build it, but they came to us as part, since the property is historic. They had to build, remember we asked them to make the building look like it was part of the church. So now we're going, they have.
That's a little strange thing,
Right.
okay, in conformity with what was there.
So now it looks like it's part of.
So that just facilitates for the church to sell that property but they still have to do the same rules, but it makes it easier. Remember that, come to the ruler, that.
Yeah.
It kind of facilitates that process.
Okay.
All right, all those in favor? 2, 6, 7, 8, opposed? Abstention?
I'm abstaining because I feel like I get it, but I don't get it.
Okay, what is, what?
I don't know, it's like, for example, like you say Grand Central, so sell their airways, like, hold up, if this is Grand Central here, right?
Uh-huh.
And the building's here,
Uh-huh.
so that means that they can build up this way, but this part is theirs, so that they can build up this way?
No, the build, Grand Central itself is not building, but the properties adjoining or
Okay.
within the vicinity of Grand Central could build additional floors because they bought air rights from Grand Central.
Let's say the site of the Grand Central could build up 10 stories, right? But the Grand Central is only 4 stories. So they have 6 stories there that they could sell to someone else in their neighborhood. So they make a profit and the neighbor would be able to build these 6 stories. What is the rationale behind this? Because there is services for those 6 stories. There is transit, there is schools, there is healthcare, there is everything for these 6 stories that cannot be developed in Grand Central because it's a landmark. You cannot touch it. So that's the opportunity.
Okay, so you can build over.
No.
No.
This is why I visualize that.
You're giving up or you're right. Like Grand Central is giving up or you're right.
Build this high, but it doesn't, because Grand Central said, all of this, they can sell it to this building here, and they can build.
Just the right. But they don't own the building. And that already exists. But we are amplifying the radius and make it easier.
Okay, so the building next to it is zoned for higher than, well, same as Grand Central. When they buy these rights, do they have to apply?
Yeah, they need to apply for
If they
rezoning.
want to go much higher. So they
The
have to
process doesn't
apply.
change, it's just that they it's just buying the rights to be able to build.
So they can go higher. Okay.
Right, because in some districts, let's say you have a property and when you do the calculation of floor area, you're only able to build 6 stories. But the district allows you to build 14 stories. So you buy air rights from the neighbors in order to build those 14 stories and maximize the development that you're doing.
Can you buy air rights and build up?
I'm sorry?
Can you buy air rights from your neighbor? Let's say Grand Central had is zoned for, can go up to 6 stories, right?
Yes.
And I wanna build up, so I buy 6 stories from
Grand Central.
Grand Central. Can I buy 6 stories from somebody else?
That is-
and continue to build up?
That is a landmark.
That is a landmark.
That's a landmark?
Yes.
Aha.
You could.
I could, so I'm already now at, was 4, now I've got Grand Central 6, and I'm 10. So can I go to somebody else, whoever has a landmark, and say, can you some tree church, I don't know.
Right, if the district allows you to go to a certain, once you hit that number of stone, within the envelope of the. So yes, you could buy several air rights from several lots. But this was specifically 2 landmark buildings.
So Samantha, you changed your vote?
Yeah, she did.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's 9 yes or no, okay. And last but not least, railroad right of way, simplify and streamline permissions for development, including former railroad right of way. This is citywide.
With that,
This is like the Metro North being extended to, I want to say, and correct me if I'm wrong, like Corp City. Corp City has a rail line, but they don't have a station. Metro North wants to.
that's the whole thing, you go to.
That's the extent. They want to a station there because railroads already exist, but streamline the permission to actually do so.
If they wanted to put in more stops along the way, since we had them on our side, we had the Metro North, but over on those sections in the South Bronx. And say, Bronx City, they didn't add anything, so they want to build stations there, so they're really just extending the line.
So you have, like you have Corp City, Parkchester, like the lines that they want to extend. Railroad already existed there at one point in time. Then now it's more to allow them to streamline it for that process to happen. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's part of it. Create person certification for development on or over railroad right of way. Also, it's just the redefinition of railroad right of way and a former railroad right of way. Because there is one thing that is like the ones that are no longer in use.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
Because Corp City has a rail line, it's not being used.
We will name it now former railroad right of way. Yeah.
So now they want to make it more up to date and they want to use it because they want to make a station there.
Yeah.
The population
But
has.
it's not about the station, it's about
about the-
allowing the land where the railroad is
To be.
to transfer the air rights to a developer or be
That
able
is the
to
site that is
build-
adjacent.
or be able to build next to it or
Yeah.
on the side or over the side.
So similar
So
to
there's
what-
a lot of rail yards, there's a lot of railroads that are no longer in use.
So
In New
similar
York.
to what Fort Landing is.
Yes.
No, it's more like what the High Line,
Okay.
right? It's more like what the High Line did. That is a former rail yard that is not being used. So the properties next to the hard line are now able to be built because of those, kind of like that idea.
And
But don't picture the highlight.
CSX earlier, so now we did it so that we can build on that and make that, use it as a waterway. And the same thing when you mentioned about the Highline, like they're now big businesses on top of the Highline, so for people to use, they can kind of, that wouldn't have been able to be built before, because you gotta go through the whole thing, you gotta get air rights, you gotta get the thing rezoned.
So I don't know if you guys know, you guys know Pia Birthday on 156 around Brook Avenue?
Yeah,
Pia
Birthday.
Birthday, that really tall building there, right? So that used to be a former railroad site. So they had to go through all these permits in order to build that building, right? And this would allow that process to be easier because there's a old railroad that used to happen, like a freight railroad that goes through all of like Brook Avenue, all of that area. Right. So there's a lot of buildings that have built on that piece of land that they couldn't build.
Okay, can we vote on this?
Yes.
All in favor? 6, 7, 8, 9, 4. Okay, I think that's the last one.
That's the last one.
Okay.
We made it pretty.
Okay. Let's do this. Sorry, guys. Okay. And for the first one, we're supporting at the town center. And for transit-oriented development, we do not support, but we have notes to add.
I have the not support.
I have, do not, I have no, I have.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you're missing one,
Yeah.
so you're missing.
Should you react to that?
Should we re-vote just to make sure?
Want to be voted on? Okay. Transit-oriented development, allow modest 3 to 5 story apartment buildings where they fit best. Large lots within half a mile of subway or railroad stations that are on wide streets or corners.
And it should say it's only in low density.
Only in low density areas.
All right, all those in favor?
I'm sorry.
Two,
We're reporting for this.
There was inconsistency, yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4. And those not supporting it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, it was originally. All right. All right.
Okay. Access,
Yes.
then for district fixes, we were all in favor, so that's a support. For universal affordability preference, I have 7 yeses, 1 no, 1 abstention. So that's a yes. Lift costly parking mandates, I have 1 yes, 7 no's, and 1 abstention. So that's a no.
23%.
Convert non-residential buildings to housing, I have 7 yeses, 1 no, 1 abstention. Small share housing, I have 5 yeses and 4 no, so we support. Okay, campus infill, I have 7 yeses and 2 no's, so we support. New zoning districts, I have 7 yeses, 1 no, 1 abstention. Update mandatory inclusionary housing. For that, I have 8 yeses and 1 abstention. For the sliver law, I have 1 yes and 8 no's, so we do not support. Quality of housing amenity changes, that was unanimous, so we support. Landmark transferable development right, that was unanimous to support. And railroad rights of way, unanimous 9 votes yes to support.
All right.
11 versus 4.
Yeah, so technically, you guys can go with this
All right, now we have to vote
on the motion.
on the motion for the city of Yes regarding housing. All right, now we vote on the full motion, all right?
So you have 11,
Yes.
11 yes.
11 to 4. Right.
So at this point, we have to vote yes or no on.
Or
the
yes.
city of
Or
yes
yes
for
with
housing.
conditions.
With conditions that
With
we
the
have.
condition.
Well, in the meantime, you can think of how the motion is going to be done. Right, and how the motion is going to be.
With those conditions.
Yeah.
Yes with conditions.
Community room.
I would suggest that, however we want to do it. They have like, it's actually. You want to do it with the comments, yeah.
With the conditions, yeah.
Yes, now everything will be, and I'm probably gonna get the notes from the financial grade and the notes. And then you'll have the lead, and then I also took notes, so we'll share all the notes with the lead, and then the minutes will be transcribed. They have to be ready for the general board meeting, and Stephen is also recording the meeting, so we'll share the recording with them to everyone can know what the conversation was like. And then I'll open up the Google form, just, for the sake of transparency, since a lot of people didn't get to voice their opinion. And then any questions I'll elevate to Cesar. So hopefully people ask questions, any clarifying questions they have prior to. But my guess is Tuesday they'll probably happen.
They should have already.
In case of that.
They should have already.
Yes, but
But I will bring over.
the space is reserved, and to reserve space, you need to be hard. Unless you would like to meet in July. It will have to be before July 12th, because July 12th is the deadline to provide this. Info.
Okay, I don't have a problem, we have any board members that are. My opinion is that since it's set, we leave it for Tuesday, and in the future, if it's any type of an election day, congress or whatever, we don't have a meeting on that.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
I usually send the calendar by the executive meeting, so that executive meeting, if there was an oversight in the office, That's when, you know, we have an extra set of eyes to say like, we're on election day is going to be in the place, so definitely not have the meeting that.
Polls are open.
And we don't see.
Right, because people work at home. So on Tuesday, people of the board, when you have an opportunity to. I mean, you're gonna send everything out, in case they're available. That's what I think, you know, definitely make them, you know, that board action or
That's happening Tuesday.
Okay, so the motion will read. Take it maybe right from the top here, it says the city of yes, for housing opportunity is a zoning reform proposal that would address the housing shortage by making it possible to build a little more housing in every neighborhood. Or something similar to that, and then we vote yes or no.
And the rationale, what we voted on, and each one individually, and that's it. Make it as simple as possible, because if we start adding more to it, it's gonna complicate everything. It should just be that heading, and this is the rationale of the executive board at the vote, and this is how we got to it. One, you know, each vote individually, each one, each bracket, and that's it. No extra, no nothing, because we're gonna confuse a lot of people.
So the motion that we're going to vote on today is the motion that's going to be presented. Right?
Yes, yes.
All right, so, you would like to leave it just in general?
Yeah, my recommendation will be this. Take this part of the motion,
Yeah.
just like this,
Right.
just like this, and then our rationale for each vote should, you know, for each one should be listed, and that's it. Very simple, very straight to the point, so that there is no confusion in that, and that it will show what our vote was, and at the end, we can tally and say there were 11 yeses, 4 no's at the exec. Now we take it to the vote. I think that's the easiest way.
I think it's, to say that it's very difficult when you have citywide issues which seem very visible, pretty much unanimous, and you have CB7 things that a lot of us are reflecting. I just wish that it was broken down maybe by citywide issue and local. They are, no, but I mean in terms of the vote, right now, basically you say yes or no with everything. Yeah, that's what makes it so hard.
No, so you're, you're saying yes. Let's say you say yes,
With conditions.
and then with conditions, and you list the conditions of what they want to change.
I think that's.
And the conditions are separated by low density in our neighborhood, and high density in our neighborhood, and miscellaneous and citywide.
Getting to your point, I know let's say you don't feel like.
Oh, that's pure.
Yes, so it's always going to be the majority of the vote, right? You're voting as a body. So as CB7, there's a vote will go out. If you feel like your voice was not heard, was not elevated enough, there's other steps of the review process, right? This is step 1. You will go to the council. So they will also, I'm not sure if they will public hearings, but they will also have a meeting. Eventually, after that process, we go to the board president's office on the 29th?
I believe so.
Right.
Yeah.
Of June? June, yes.
Yeah.
And then after that happens, city planning has another review that's also then accept additional feedback as well. So there's a lot of different levels where if you feel like that as a body, CB7 decided to vote against something, and like I said, you still can independently set this.
To this amount.
It would just, yeah, it would just not be added to CB7 because then you have to add 29.
I think that in your, if I may.
Go ahead.
So I think in your rationale, you could say this particular actions do not pertain to CB7, or we feel will bring more congestion to CB7, etc. Because city planning cannot make it local or citywide, because that zoning resolution is a citywide document, right? So we just need to be specific in the motion and say, we voted no to these items because we feel it will bring this and this items into the CB7 district.
I think it should be, the motion should be this part, explaining what, that is a zoning reform, number one, and then number two, say why it came before us, because this is severe housing crisis, affordability crisis, right? We all know that. But that is the second part of it, and then say CV7,
Support.
supports City of Yes based on this rationale. And then say, and here are our votes, which each explanation as to why it was a yes and why it wasn't. That's simple as I can possibly get. If I'm not,
You want to do the motion? Or somebody want to present the motion? So we can second it and take the vote?
and the City of Yes for Housing Opportunity is a zoning reform proposal that would address the housing shortage by making it possible to build a little more housing in every neighborhood. The rationale for it coming to the board is New York City faces a severe housing affordability crisis. Outdated, restrictive and complicating zoning laws limit opportunities to create new homes and make those that do get built more expensive. And then say, Community Board 7 reviewed the list, and these are our rationale for each and every one of the categories presented.
And do we have a second to hire this motion? All right, does any comment before we take the vote? All right, Lee, go ahead.
The higher areas.
Yes.
Yes.
Here, Jane Hill,
Oh, yes.
and the Rainbows.
Well, we're saying yes or yes with the conditions.
Well,
So everything is
Yes.
yeah, we just want to get the right into the whole, what the motion is.
New Park, but that's about here. Michelle Deal,
Yes.
and Risa Costa. And that's about
Abstain.
seven, four. One no, one abstain.
All right, we'll move the agenda then. Okay. All right, next item, a process. of-
Thank you.
Thank you, yes, both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Process of requesting to rename a section of, park in our community board area. And, we received recently, two requests. One was, from Syria, right? Yeah. Syria wanted to rename the section of Marshall, after
Yes,
Sally Baldwin.
yes.
Right,
Right in front of us.
right, and, we also received a request to rename, skate park at the Oval, as a dub, yes, and, I understand from Paula that we have a whole list of requirements. Paula, you have it there, you want to read it all? Now, this is city parks, they want to take a section of a park and rename it after something.
That's the dog.
Yes, and also.
What section of Marshall?
Someplace like Tracy mentioned, to
Abstain.
we want to vote so it goes through a whole process.
So the, part of the parks requires that a person need to see for at least 3 years prior to their integration. And that they have 10 years of community involvement. Park requires a letter of support from the community board. A letter of support from their council members, and a letter of support from board members. So an external entity is preferable if an external entity comes before the community board to present the request. It has been 3 years, and it has not been.
But the other needs to process. I know.
Thank you, have a good night.
Thank you so much. Good night. Thank you. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great.
Make sure you have this.
So the dog and, you need some of, most of the requirements. I'm wondering if the second council, since he was, an officer, and that. That they,
I guess it's
so we put it, or have them bring it
Bring it forward.
Yeah, will we need signatures, how many signatures would we need from?
Yeah, so for community work session,
To approve it. Consider it.
100 signatures.
So whoever was proposing it would have to collect them.
No, 100 signatures for the petition.
Petition.
Okay, so it could be even a community board person that is a petitioner.
No, you asked that you have your position as a board member was allowed to wait and influence.
Okay.
So it has to be still the external person.
So, who wanted to?
Syria.
Syria wants that, and for Doug,
Sally, I think it's in.
no, for Doug, I think it was one.
But the 52nd, the city council, they meeting was tonight.
Yeah, that's right.
So it may not come to vote with her. In her case, it's not 3 years.
Yes, it's not 3 years.
It's not gonna happen, I don't think it's anyway, so my suggestion is that
They need to move back to second speaking council and say, yes, we would like this, but you would have to, you as the entity would have to get the signature.
Those are back up to some.
Correct. And get it,
Signatures.
exactly.
It can't, but it can't be, well, it could be Brenda Caldwell.
it can be any.
Because that's not
That's not a board.
They can't check because it's a board.
No.
Everybody is 8:56.
Okay.
Oh my God.
So late. Sure. All right, so
Next time I have to work something to eat.
Okay.
So
They don't
regarding,
have me to tell you about that.
regarding the code of conduct, the law department, they want something in writing, as a minutes, they want like minutes. I couldn't find minutes where it said that the executive would be okay with the district manager and the chair to edit the, code of conduct.
Okay, so I want to bring up a motion for the exec board to vote on the new language on our code of conduct. To be really quickly, because,
So they want two things, right? They said if you want, so that if you do a motion, that means every time it's edited, it's a motion. But that's one route. The other route that would be quicker would be to say like, it's okay for the chair and the district manager for them to let me edit the code of conduct as needed. No, you can't, you just have to say it. No, you just have to say it, so when we're transcribing the minutes, there's a sentence that says there, the executive board is.
agrees with that the chair and the district manager can make changes to the code of conduct and be presented to.
Okay, you would present to the executive committee.
Yeah, this is what we're doing, yeah,
So
we
that
have
could
to.
be, that could be the process.
That could be the process if we agree to it, that if there is a change in the code of conduct by myself and Carla, we have to bring it to you, to the exec board, and we all have to agree that it's okay without a formal motion process. Just us verbally agreeing that it's
Yeah.
okay.
So can we go on that tonight?
What's the motion?
What's the, go ahead. So it's not a motion.
Oh, it's
not
not a
a
motion.
It's just a conversation. I second that we permit the chair and the district manager to make changes to the code of conduct as necessary.
There's two things. One is, should that be added to our guidelines? What's that called? Bylaws. Should that be something that's, amended to our bylaws?
Then we will have to convene a ad hoc committee like we did the last time and make an addition to that.
second.
I mean,
We have
to be honest with you, it's language that's probably used in all other boards. So it's nothing out of the ordinary, it's nothing crazy, it's nothing that's gonna make anything.
Let's just
out of
add
the order. We can just add it to the bylaws if the exec board agrees to it.
Yes, we do.
And you agreed to this a while ago, it's just that I couldn't find it in minutes, so it didn't make it.
Okay, so it will be in these minutes tonight.
Yes.
Okay, yes, I did the iron, yes.
If
you want to.
would like to, yes, but I've seen my mom, if you would like to bring it before the full vote.
So they know.
I don't think we need.
I think we're gonna have a long night with the city of the situation. This is more, I guess,
An internal,
internal
yeah,
housekeeping for us.
Yes.
So, if you look at the second page, the code of conduct is listed there with the changes. It's just to add protection for all of us, in light of what happened recently with a certain resident. And we just want to make sure that we're all covered and that when we are at meetings, these things are said to cover ourselves from any liabilities, pretty much.
What was added?
We added I'm gonna limit to obscene, threatening, harassing language, slander, threats, violence, personal attacks, offensive, inflammatory basis of ethnicity, race, age, religion, gender, sexual orientation, and or disability.
Yeah.
That was what was added, for the most part. It was cleaned up to add this.
Yes.
And it allows the chair to be able to ask anyone to violate that, so you can include something.
The other thing is, when we had the town hall on Tuesday, this wasn't expressed at the beginning of that meeting. Should this be done at all meetings?
It's gonna be right now.
No, the town hall was on the city against.
With the city, yes, town hall, it should be.
Oh, no, yeah, no, she did.
Ready for the meeting, for the housing meeting, but not for the city, yes.
No, she read it for the citizen.
But why would that have been done for the
No,
city against?
I didn't mean it for the town hall. I read it for when we started.
Is that, what they go crazy for the town hall, or you just say the whole time?
Okay, so let's all agree that for all meetings,
Yeah.
this shall be read.
Okay.
And that way it covers everything.
Okay, public hearing.
Public hearings, including public hearings. That we all agree?
Yeah.
So we all agree?
Yes.
Okay, so it's recorded? Okay, great.
All right, so we'll, yes.
Yes.
We will be gender. My suggestion is that one of those committee reports, it's late, and then we have a meeting Tuesday night that can say what we can say. And if you have it.
Now, there is, for a budget personnel, we're meeting after the final board meeting.
Okay, so you're meeting Wednesday night?
We're meeting that Wednesday evening. So, you know, there's one report, and we didn't meet last month.
No, okay.
So, there's
All
nothing.
right, you can announce them when you're meeting the next night.
Yeah, good.
All right,
I would say any edits to the calendar, to the meeting calendar, let me know, especially when it comes to voting. I recently became a citizen, so now I'm. You know, it's not ingrained in my brain, like, I have that knowledge. And there are
Saturday. Barbara? I took a picture, I sent it to Barbara.
but I'll discuss that.
All
right, wait, we need a vote to close.
Motion to
I vote to
adjourn.
close the meeting. Okay, I got it.